So, we all know that pre-singing ritual, don't we? You know, the essential warm-up, lip trills, maybe some gentle slides. Absolutely vital stuff for getting the voice ready.
Definitely. Can't really skip that step.
But what we're really digging into today is why that's only like half the story. We're going way beyond just preparing the voice. We're looking at why dedicated singing exercises are, well, the bedrock of real vocal development.
Mm-hmm.
Think about hitting the gym, right? A few stretches before you lift. They're good, but they won't sculpt serious strength, will they?
Not at all. No.
It's the consistent lifting, the targeted workouts. That's what really makes the difference.
That's a spot-on analogy, actually. For this deep dive, we've looked at, well, quite a range of things. Practical singing tutorials, guides.
Right.
Even dove into some of the science behind vocal learning and control.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, a really clear picture emerges. Lasting vocal improvement isn't just about getting ready to sing for, right now. It's about actively training your voice, making it stronger, more flexible, and importantly, more resilient over time.
Okay, so let's kind of unpack that first big idea then. The difference, the crucial distinction between just warming up and actual training.
Yeah.
We see in lots of video guides and resources some great ways to prepare. Lip rolls, tongue exercises, those gentle siren sounds.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, they definitely increase our awareness, get things sort of loosened up and moving.
Exactly. Think of warm-ups as preparing the instrument for playing, like tuning a guitar, maybe.
Good one, yeah.
They get the blood flowing to the vocal cords, the muscles around them, improve flexibility a bit.
Yeah.
They help you sort of check in, see how your voice feels on that particular day.
Right, like a quick diagnostic.
Precisely. But they don't really build the underlying strength or the endurance you need for, more demanding singing.
Ah, okay.
And that's where the targeted exercises, the training really comes into play.
And this brings us to a really key concept, something that pops up quite a bit. This idea of your voice as a muscle, which might seem a little strange at first, thinking about it that way.
It might, but it's actually a surprisingly accurate and really helpful way to understand how vocal development works. Just like any other muscle group in your body, this intricate network of muscles, the ones making the sound, controlling the vocal folds, even the breathing muscles, they all respond to regular specific exercise. They get stronger, more efficient.
Okay.
And conversely, if you don't have that consistent stimulation, that training, well, those muscles can actually weaken over time. They can atrophy.
Wow, really?
Atrophy.
Become less effective. Just like if you stopped working out your arms or legs.
That makes perfect sense when you put it like that. You wouldn't just, decide to run a marathon tomorrow without building up fitness, leg strength through consistent training runs. Some sources even draw that direct parallel to weightlifting.
Yeah.
You need dedicated effort over time for real growth.
Precisely. And the absolute foundation of this vocal strength, you could call it the engine, really, that powers your singing, is diaphragmatic breathing. This comes up again and again. Right, the deep breathing. Not from the chest.
Exactly. It's much more than just taking a deep breath, though. It's about actively engaging those lower abdominal muscles, using them to give you consistent, efficient airflow.
Yeah, I've seen visuals of that. The lower belly expanding, but the chest stays pretty still.
That's the idea. And the crucial point, really, is that consistent practice of this kind of breathing helps stop unnecessary tension creeping into your neck and your throat.
Which is a huge problem for singers, right? Tension.
Oh, absolutely vital to avoid. If you don't cultivate this consistent diaphragmatic support, the tendency is just to fall back into that shallow chest breathing habit.
Which feels natural, maybe, but isn't helpful.
Right. It limits your breath capacity, for one. But it can also lead directly to strain, and it really hinders your overall vocal development. Think of your diaphragm as the stable power source.
Okay.
Without it working optimally, everything else just gets harder, less efficient, more effortful.
Okay, so we get why training beyond just warming up is crucial. And the breathing. Fundamental. Got it. Now let's dive into the actual exercises. The training itself. Our sources mention a whole bunch, starting with scales and arpeggios. They seem to be everywhere.
They really are foundational, and for very good reason. Scales and arpeggios are just incredibly effective for developing accurate pitch, for hitting the notes right.
Okay.
Think of scales not just as, hitting specific notes in order, but more like mapping the terrain of your voice, building those neural pathways for accurate pitch.
Like muscle memory for the notes?
Kind of, yeah. And they provide a systematic way to gradually expand your range, too, the notes you can comfortably and consistently sing.
Right, pushing those boundaries gently.
Exactly. By repeatedly navigating different pitches and intervals, you're training your ear and your vocal cords to coordinate much more precisely.
Okay, then we have those lip rolls and tongue exercises again. We said they were warm-ups. But some sources seem to emphasize them for training, too, like for breath control and relaxation. So they do double duty.
Exactly right. While they're brilliant for initial prep, doing sustained practice of lip rolls, specifically thinking about breath control while you do them, and those tongue exercises can really refine the fine motor skills you need for consistent airflow, relaxed production, all the way through your range.
So they're not just about getting ready, they actually help build better technique.
Precisely. They actively contribute.
Okay. And then there are vowel modification exercises. It sounds a bit technical.
It can sound that way.
What's the core idea? Why are these important training tools?
Well, what's really fascinating here is how changing your vowel shapes subtly as you sing higher or lower, it helps you navigate the different registers of your voice more smoothly.
Registers, like chest voice, head voice.
Exactly. Those different gears or qualities your voice has.
Yeah.
Your chest voice, that lower, speech-like sound. Head voice, lighter, higher. The goal is to blend them, connect them seamlessly. So as you sing higher, making small adjustments to your vowel shapes helps you find the best resonance, keep a consistent tone,
Yeah.
and it helps prevent those awkward breaks or flips in sound.
That makes a lot of sense, like fine-tuning an instrument across its whole range.
Bang on.
And following on from that, we have exercises specifically for blending registers, like sirens and slides.
Yes, exactly. Those exercises help you develop that crucial coordination. The skill needed to transition really effortlessly between chest, head, and that mixed voice area in the middle.
No noticeable gear changes.
That's the aim. A smooth, connected vocal line from your lowest note right up to your highest.
Cool. And for singers wanting maybe a bit more flair, agility exercises, runs and melismas.
Yeah. Those are all about developing vocal dexterity, the ability to move quickly and cleanly between notes.
Like vocal gymnastics.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Building speed, accuracy, control over those rapid note patterns.
We also shouldn't forget dynamic control exercises. The crescendos, getting louder, decrescendos, getting softer.
Absolutely crucial. It's not just about being loud or soft. It's about having really nuanced control over the intensity, the volume.
Right, for expression.
Exactly. Gives you the ability to shape musical phrases, convey emotion. It adds so much artistry.
And then there are these semi-occluded vocal tract exercises, SOVTs, like humming or singing through a straw. It sounds a bit weird.
They might seem strange at first, but they are incredibly beneficial.
How so?
Well, the key thing is, by partially blocking the airflow of the semi-occluded part, you create a gentle back pressure in your vocal tract.
Okay, and that does what?
That little bit of back pressure actually encourages your vocal folds to vibrate more efficiently.
Yeah?
With less effort, less strain. And it significantly improves resonance.
So less work, better sound.
In a nutshell, yes. Think of the back pressure creating a more stable, kind of optimal environment for the vocal folds to work. It optimizes the raw sound before resonance even shapes it further. Great for vocal health and your tone.
Fascinating. And finally, ear training. Seems obvious, maybe, but really important for pitch, right?
Oh, absolutely fundamental. You need that feedback loop, what you hear versus what you actually sing.
Training your ear to hear accurately.
Exactly. A well-developed ear is the bedrock of good intonation, of singing in tune consistently. It's training your musical perception just as much as your vocal cords.
And it's worth mentioning, I guess, that some of the sources, like those detailed training manuals, show how you can put all these different types of exercises together.
That's a great point. They offer practical ways to structure things, how to build a well-rounded vocal workout that hits different aspects of technique.
Right. Okay, now, just like hitting the gym once in a blue moon won't give you lasting results, same applies here, right? Consistency. It keeps coming up. Regular practice is key if you want those vocal muscles to grow and stay strong.
Consistency is, absolute paramount. Can't stress that enough. It's how you build muscle memory. Strengthen that ear-voice connection. Develop strength and agility over time.
So little and often is better than one huge session.
Definitely. Short, focused practice sessions done regularly are far more effective than cramming it all in infrequently. It's about putting in the reps consistently.
And it's not just mindless repetition, is it? It's also about gradual progression, pushing yourself a bit.
That's right. You need to progressively challenge your voice. maybe extending your range slightly or trying slightly more complex exercises.
But gently.
Gently. You wouldn't try to lift your absolute max weight on day one at the gym. Same principle. It's about working just slightly outside your current comfort zone, that comfort zone plus one idea.
Right. To encourage growth without risking strain or injury.
Exactly. Smart training.
And while we're doing all this physical training, it's so important to remember singing isn't just physical, is it? There's a huge mind-body connection.
Oh, completely. The brain plays a massive role. Neuroscience shows us how the brain learns, how it refines motor control based on feedback.
How does that work, roughly?
Well, what's really insightful is how the brain actively predicts the sound you're about to make. And then it instantly compares that prediction to the sound you actually make, the auditory feedback it gets.
Oh, good.
This constant error checking, this correction mechanism. It's fundamental for learning and making those tiny adjustments needed to improve your technique over time.
Which is why it's so vital to really listen to our bodies, isn't it? Be aware of any tension, any strain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to pay close attention to physical sensations. Stop if something feels wrong. Don't push through pain. That's crucial for long-term vocal health.
And posture comes into that too, right? Alignment.
Big time. Good posture and alignment create the right framework. Allows for efficient breathing, unrestricted sound production. It all connects.
Okay. And finally, self-practice is vital. We've established that. But lots of sources also strongly recommend getting guidance from a qualified vocal coach. Why is that so valuable?
Well, a skilled coach brings a trained ear, objectivity, a wealth of experience.
Things you might miss yourself.
Exactly. They can hear things, identify specific technical issues maybe you're not even aware of, and they can tailor exercises precisely to your voice, your goals.
Personalized training plan.
Pretty much. They're an invaluable guide, really, making sure you're practicing effectively, but also safely, which is just as important.
Definitely. So as we wrap up this deep dive then, what's the sort of main message, the key takeaway for everyone listening?
I think the core takeaway is this: consistent, targeted singing exercises, the ones that go beyond just your warm-ups. They are absolutely fundamental. They're what builds real vocal strength, extends your range, gives you much greater control over your instrument.
The gym analogy holds up.
It really does. Just like regular workouts build physical muscle, dedicated vocal training is what lets your voice develop. Become more powerful, more flexible, more capable of expressing whatever you want it to.
And it's a journey, right? Not a quick fix. Requires patience, consistent effort.
Exactly. Vocal development is gradual. It's learning, it's refinement. You have to embrace that journey. Be patient with yourself and, celebrate the small wins along the way.
Good advice. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. What specific part of your voice are you really hoping to strengthen or develop right now?
Good question.
And how can consciously adding regular singing exercises, not just the warm-ups, be the key to unlocking that potential? How can it help you reach your own vocal goals?
Yeah, definitely worth thinking about.
We really encourage you to maybe revisit some of the ideas we've talked about, explore resources, and actively seek out the training tools, maybe even the guidance that can best support you on your singing journey.